Hello and welcome to Neighbors Talking at Naya Daur TV. This is Ayesha Siddiqa, and I have today with me Ambassador Vivek Katju, who has been India's ambassador to Thailand, Afghanistan, and Myanmar. Welcome, Ambassador Katju. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very
Uh,
much.
this is a candid conversation. So बिल्कुल हम अपने हिंदुस्तानी पाकिस्तानी तरीके से करेंगे. It'll be English
Zarur.
and Urdu Hindi. So it's a conversation.
Ji.
Uh, so Ambassador Kaju, what I wanted to talk to you about was ये जो पिछले दिनों कुछ मुंह का मजा खराब हुआ है. पहले जयशंकर साहब ने एक बहुत सख्ती से पाकिस्तान का जिक्र किया, एंड देन Pakistan's foreign minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari responded to it. What do you think of it? What should have been the right response, or what was the expectation?
मैं तो इस तरह इसका सीक्वेंस देखता हूं कि as you know, Aisha ji, for India, terrorism has been a concern for decades now. And during the last 2 years, India had made it one of its priorities during its membership of the Security Council, which is concluding at the end of this month. And this month, it also happens to be to have the rotational presidency. So Jaishankar was going to New York, which he did, and was to chair two meetings, one on reform multilateralism on the 14th,
Right.
at which there were representatives of other countries also participating. And I think the distinguished foreign minister of Pakistan was also in New York, and he was to take part in this meeting. And subsequently, on the 15th, there was a briefing on terrorism by the UN people, and that meeting was limited only to UNSC's current members.
Right.
At this meeting on reform multilateralism, uh, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari raised the issue of Kashmir, and Jaishankar gave a response which was a little strong, and but he did not say anything that has not been said in the past. He said that Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan and that there had been an attack on the Indian Parliament. So those were two things that I saw in his response to the Pakistan foreign minister raising the issue of Kashmir. The next day at the briefing, Jaishankar presided over that session, and again the references made by him were standard references made by Indian representatives. He came out, and there was a press briefing which is there, which takes place in the UN. And at this, I think one Pakistani journalist asked him a question, and he gave a response too, where he quoted Hillary Clinton. And now one can one can debate whether he should have said all this or should not have said all this. I think the feeling in India is that he did not go beyond what has been said in the past. I think
Okay.
later that day, the Pakistan foreign minister spoke words which I'd not like to repeat because I think those words were very personal and they were about an elected prime minister. And
Okay.
they did not only describe him, but if I may say, they also said that he lives. Now, what does that mean? That I have, in my experience, as a diplomat from 1975, and then I retired 10 or 11 years ago. In this experience, I have never heard a foreign minister of either India or Pakistan say about the leader of a neighboring state that he lives. What is the connotation of that? That Osama is dead, but the Prime Minister of India lives. Now, that I thought was very, very offensive. And in my recollection, it is not only the description that he gave, which incidentally he says now, he reiterates that he said nothing new, but certainly the words that he lives is that formulation is new. And I've, in my experience, I'm sorry if I'm reiterating myself, in my experience, I've never heard in any civilized conversation or press meeting about any leader of a neighboring state these such words being used. So they will cause offense. They have caused offense, and they have. And they are now on the record, and I don't think they'll be easily forgotten or forgiven.
So, what does it mean? I mean, where do we stand today in bilateral relations? मतलब कि ताल्लुकात कैसे हैं फिर?
देखिए, ताल्लुकात तो जैसे हैं वो सबने देखा है।
जी।
ताल्लुकात 2019 के बाद जब से यहाँ के हमारे कानून असासी में जब से तब्दीली हुई जम्मू कश्मीर के निस्बत, तब से जो पाकिस्तान का रिस्पॉन्स आया वो आपको भी मालूम, मुझे दोहराने की जरूरत नहीं है। हाँ, मेरा ये मैंने हमेशा से महसूस किया है कि पाकिस्तान का जो रिएक्शन था थोड़ा ओवरबोर्ड था। उनको अगर कुछ तकलीफ थी ये कह देते कि भाई आप कुछ भी कहिए, लेकिन जो हमारा व्यू है जम्मू कश्मीर के बारे में दैट स्टैंड्स। आप जो भी चेंजेस करिए उससे उसको असर नहीं पड़ता, बट दैट वाज नॉट द व्यू टेकन। तो उसके बाद जो
लेकिन
ताल्लुकात खराब हुए वो सबको मालूम है। फिर जिस तरह के अल्फाज फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर इमरान खान साहब ने इस्तेमाल किए रूलिंग डिस्पेंसेशन के बारे में, उनके ख्यालात के बारे में, उनकी आइडियोलॉजी के बारे में, वो भी आपको मालूम। लेकिन इस सब के बावजूद 2021 में मुझे लगता है जो सीज फायर एलओसी और इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर पे हुई है वो अभी तक कायम है। और उससे मुझे कुछ उम्मीद दिखती है कि भाई दोनों सरकारें इस पर तो, और दोनों फौजें जो हैं फ्लाज, वो इस पर तो कायम है कि वो जो सीज फायर है वो चले।
एम्बेसडर काजू, एक सवाल है। आई मीन, एक
जी
पाकिस्तान का कंसर्न है, बहुत
जी
ग्रोइंग कंसर्न है, एंड दैट इज दैट इंडिया इज नाउ एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व्ड इन परस्यूइंग टेररिज्म इनसाइड पाकिस्तान। लोगों को भेजते हैं। अभी उन्होंने एक डोजियर और जो है वो किया है, प्रोड्यूस किया है। अभी तक क्लियर नहीं है कि किसके साथ शेयर हुआ है। इंडियन गवर्नमेंट के साथ कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर हुई है या नहीं हुई, बट व्हाट यू थिंक? आई मीन, पाकिस्तान का भी तो एक कंसर्न है। सो पाकिस्तान का आर्गुमेंट, एंड इनफैक्ट जो फॉरेन मिनिस्टर है उनका ये आर्गुमेंट है कि भाई आप हमें ही इल्जाम देते हैं, सो दिस इज व्हाई वी मेंशन्ड और ही मेंशन्ड व्हाट ही डिड।
देखिए, आप एक चीज होती है कहनी कि आप भी भेजते हैं, लेकिन
राइट।
ये कहना दैट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ अनदर कंट्री ही लिव्स, वो तो बिल्कुल अलग बात हुई। उससे और जो
ओके।
आपका कंसर्न है उससे तो कुछ कनेक्शन नहीं है। और मुझे यही सरप्राइजिंग लगता है कि आज के दिन भी पाकिस्तान के जो सीनियर लोग, जो पाकिस्तान के वजीर आजम है, मुझे मालूम है वो अलग पार्टी के हैं। मेरा आपका जो बेहतरीन आर्टिकल है वो मैंने पढ़ा है, वो अलग पार्टी के हैं। लेकिन देखिए, कारगिल का दौर भी मैंने देखा है,
राइट।
वो भी दौर देखा है, और लड़ाइयां भी देखी। पहले भी हम लोग लड़ाइयां हुई, 65 में हुई, 71 में हुई, उसके पहले 48, 49 में हुई। लेकिन क्या ऐसे अल्फाज, ये जुमला कभी भी इस्तेमाल हुआ है? हाँ, वो छोटी उम्र के हैं, 34 साल के बिलावल साहब, लेकिन हैं तो फॉरेन मिनिस्टर साहब। तो ये बात
जी।
जो है, ये मुझे लगता है कि इस पर दौर दौर देना। अच्छा, दूसरी बात ठहरी, आपने कहा कि आप भी भेजते। अब इसमें मुझे मालूम है कि बहुत सालों से पाकिस्तान की तमन्ना रही है कि अ, जो इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी है वो ये तस्लीम करे कि भाई दोनों तरफ से ये खेल चल, लेकिन ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ है। इंटरनेशनल जो तंजीमें हैं पाकिस्तान, लश्कर, जैश, उसके पहले और जो तंजीमें थी, वो तो जाहिर है कि उनका ओरिएंटेशन क्या क्या है। उनके जो ताल्लुकात हैं फौज से और इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी से, वो सब जाहिर। ऐसी कोई तंजीमें हमारे वहां तो नहीं। अब आप कहते हैं टीटीपी है, मुझे याद है 2021 में 15 महीने पहले, 16 महीने पहले, जब काबुल को तालिबान ने फिर से फतेह किया था, तो तब जो जनरल आईएसआई के चीफ साहब थे, फैज साहब, जनरल फैज हमीद साहब, वो किस तरह गए थे, उनकी बाछें खिली हुई थी, वो तस्वीरें वो तो सबने देखी है, दुनिया ने देखी। तो उसके बाद अगर अश्योरेंस नहीं आप लोगों को, और मैं तो यहां तक आपसे कहूंगा कि हमारी कुवत ही नहीं है जो इल्जाम हम पर लग। और
लेकिन
दरअसल
देखें,
बात यह है कि तंजीमें जो हैं वो तो हैं, और उनके खिलाफ क्या एक्शन हुआ है? हैव दे बीन रोल्ड बैक? ये इक्विवेलेंस ड्रॉ करनी, इसीलिए I mean, as a professional, former professional diplomat, if I was a Pakistani diplomat, I would tell my political superiors, कि साहब, we cannot draw this equivalence because India doesn't have such organizations such as the Jaish or the Lashkar.
Ambassador Kaju, ये बताएं, देखें ना अब what would you call if not violence or recourse to violence? जब आपके अ, कुछ संगी हैं जिन्होंने फिर कहा कि जी बिलावल भुट्टो की तस्वीर लगाई, उसमें एक फांसी का फंदा बनाया और कहा कि जी हम इनाम देंगे जो इसको कोई मारेगा ना। दिस इज act of, this is encouraging people towards violence, and this
देखिए
violence is would be terrorism.
देखिए, अब ये जो एक एक एंगर था, आई एम नॉट जस्टिफाइंग दैट, बट I think you should take it as a sign of great anger here. कि साहब, आप क्या कह गए हमारे वजीर आजम में? You might like him, you might not like him. There are plenty of people here in India who do not approve of Mr. Modi, but the fact is that he is the elected Prime Minister of India. He is he has got his party a majority not once but twice in Parliament. And the first time that he got it, he obtained something that had not been done since 1984. So he
Right.
has this kind of support. Now,
Indeed.
naturally, there will be some incidents. I'm not saying that they were right, but see that the reaction was extremely restrained. एक एक दिल्ली में थोड़ा हुआ, some demonstration, some white fellow said something, but was it all over India? No. And I can assure you that this was something that hurt people. This was
No,
not a
I'm sure.
celebration,
Okay.
because
I'm
between the last thing I'll say, Aisha ji, is
ji.
between us. It is not, after all, there is a certain courtesies, there's a certain culture, I would even say respect between even enemy countries, and especially those who belong to a similar culture. एक ये तहजीब होता है कि चाहे कितना भी गलत फहमियां हो, गुस्सा हो, एंगर हो, लेकिन अपने अल्फाज पे कंट्रोल होता है, स्पेशली इफ यू आर होल्डिंग हाई ऑफिस.
आई कंप्लीटली एग्री विद इट, बट मैं आपसे कह रही हूँ कि अगर एक कोई इंस्पायर करता है कि जी बिलावल भुट्टो को नुकसान कोई पहुंचाए दूसरी तरफ, बॉर्डर के दूसरी पार, और खुदा ना खास्ता कुछ होता है, कोई ऐसा एक्शन होता है, तो फिर और वो इंस्पायर्ड बाय व्हाट समबडी हैज सेड इन इंडिया, तो आप उसको किस कैटेगरी में डालेंगे?
वेल आई
जस्ट
थिंक ये देखिए, ये तो पहले तो ये हाइपोथेटिकल है आयशा जी. दूसरी चीज, आई कैन नॉट कंसीव that anyone in Pakistan is going to pay any attention to what some of the right-wing people in India say. Because there are simply no mechanisms that are there in India uh, which are available or equivalent of the Pakistani tanzeem. Hai. Now, let me say this categorically that over the last 3 decades, ever since troubles in more, 3 decades and more, ever since troubles began in J&K, this is something that we have deliberately never done, to build up regular organizations that can undertake violence in in a neighboring country. We've not done
so what about
because I
Kulbhushan? What about Kulbhushan
देखिए,
Yadav, that
कुलभूषण का तो
person?
there is your version, there is the Pakistan version, there is the Indian version. There is the Indian version that he was a retired naval officer. He was in Iran doing business, and he was abducted from there. And ever since then, he has not even been given regular consular access. The access given to him was contrary to all norms, and that is something on which the international uh, court too has commented. So, as far as Kulbhushan is concerned, there are two separate narratives. Now, you can pick and choose whichever narrative you wish to believe, but there is
But that raises the
and
ambassador. Let
हाँ,
me interrupt you here.
नहीं
Now
बताइए
that itself raises a question कि
जी.
अब हमारे अपने अपने कंसर्न्स हैं, पाकिस्तान का अपना कंसर्न है, हिंदुस्तान का अपना कंसर्न है अबाउट टेररिज्म, अबाउट अ लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज.
जी.
हाउ डू वी नाउ मूव फॉरवर्ड, स्पेशली कि जब मुंह का मजा दोनों तरफ खराब हुआ है? कैन वी मूव फॉरवर्ड? विल देयर बी एन इंटेंशन टू मूव फॉरवर्ड?
देखिए, मुझे ये लगता है that neither state as of now has an interest in moving forward.
ओके.
As far as we are concerned, uh, our interests today are, and I'm saying this as a matter of fact, our interests today are far beyond Pakistan.
ओके.
Our major problem at the moment is with China. Our focus
राइट.
of our strategic classes and political classes, and naturally is on China, the Chinese challenge. And it is not only ours, it's an international challenge. As far as you are concerned, Pakistan is concerned, it is in the happy position of having an excellent relationship with China. Second, our major concern is the economy.
राइट.
Uh,
ओके.
Fortunately, we've been able to weather the COVID crisis, the Ukrainian crisis. Uh, if I'm in my assessment, a little better than most countries. But
ओके.
still, the economy requires enormous attention. More than that, I think we also need to pay far greater focus on developing our scientific and technological infrastructure.
राइट.
So At the moment, the concerns are domestic. The concerns are with China. And finally, the G20 presidency is now with India. And clearly, the Prime Minister and his government is taking this responsibility very, very seriously. And with for
Right,
good reason, because G20 is a principal organization in the world today with and there are these international crises as you look everywhere, whether it be flowing from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and its consequences on energy and food, on European security, on the international order itself, whether it be the larger concern coming from the challenge of China to both the world order and to the international order, one is not very clear where, and to the regional order, where
right,
India has. So I think that our focus is really on these issues. And of course,
right.
terrorism is a problem.
Hmm.
But for Pakistan, I would imagine that as I read your papers, I sense that your concerns are again economic. Your economy is not in good shape. You've got uh, to really uh, address economic issues. You are having now security issues on your western frontier. There are political issues. So they would be occupying the mind space of Pakistani political and strategic classes, and especially of the establishment, and you have a new army chief. So I don't see the possibility as of now of either country addressing bilateral concerns with any great dispatch.
तो बैक चैनल डिप्लोमेसी भी नहीं होगी, ट्रैक टू बैक चैनल कोई पैगाम, कोई nothing. You don't see any communication happening.
I must confess, having nothing to do with government, I don't know about back channels, but there's one thing which is quite clear, which is, I think, an important, which is that the ceasefire, as I said, is hope.
Okay,
Now,
okay,
that shows to me that the communications between the DGMOs
right,
in there, I have not heard that that mechanism has ceased. And there
right.
used to be this weekly conversation between the DGMOs that contact, I would imagine, is going on. So, in that respect, things are stable. And it is, I suppose, in all our interest and our hope that that remains so. Because it's a terrible ordeal for people living on both sides of the LOC and of the IP. Uh, if firing starts and there's cross firing, and it's not limited only to small arms, but then weapons of higher calibers begin to be used. So we know the devastation that that causes. So fortunately, from February of 21, and it's now what? It's now 22 months that that's held. That's encouraging. To me, that's encouraging.
Well, that in itself, is good to hear कि हमारे दरमियान, हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान के दरमियान एक fragile सी stability या fragile peace remains, continues, and probably will continue till the time कि हम एक दूसरे से दोबारा से बात शुरू ना कर दें. And one doesn't know how it will come about. If you have any idea, please let me know. But आज के दिन में जो, I mean, we just hope that, I'm sure you hope as well कि ये जो अभी एक बदमज़गी हुई है, it blows over, and we get ready to talk to each other again?
मैं भी यही चाहता हूँ, बिल्कुल दिल की ख्वाहिश है कि कोई बात, ये रिलेशनशिप नॉर्मलाइज हो, कि दोनों देशों को बहुत फायदा होगा, इसमें तो दो राय नहीं हो
Indeed,
सकती।
indeed.
लेकिन मुझे हमेशा लगा है आयशा जी, एंड करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम रॉन्ग, मुझे हमेशा ये लगा है कि आपके पाकिस्तान में बात तो हुई है जियो इकोनॉमिक्स, बात तो हुई है कि अगर तिजारा हुआ, इन्वेस्टमेंट शुरू हुई, इक्तिसादी कॉन्टैक्ट्स बढ़े दोनों देशों, तो उससे फायदा दोनों को होगा, शायद फायदा पाकिस्तान को ज्यादा होगा। मैं तो इट्स अ साइन ऑफ हाउ ओल्ड आई हैव बिकम। मुझे वो याद है दिन जब बेनजीर भुट्टो साहिबा वजीर आजम थी 1996 में, तो 6 स्टडीज उन्होंने कंडक्ट करवाई थी ऑन trade relations with India, on economic ties with India. And if my memory serves me correct, except for the producers of white goods, refrigerators, washing machines, yes, or maybe two-wheelers, except for them, everyone said, all your entire spectrum of trade said, and industry said कि हिंदुस्तान का मार्केट अगर मिले तो हमारा इससे बहुत फायदा। फिर आईटी का सेक्टर भी था। लेकिन वो दिन है 96 और आज यानी 26 साल हो गए। इस बीच में बाजवा साहब भी बात करते थे जियो इकोनॉमिक्स की, एक्सेस कॉरिडोर्स की। लेकिन मुझे ये लगता है कि पाकिस्तान में ये फैसला हुआ कि चीन से इंटीग्रेट करना इकोनॉमी को, उससे ज्यादा बेनिफिट हो सकता है।
इसमें मैं I would like to,
जी जी
Ambassador, I would like to kind of add here, or
जी
maybe, if you allow me to use the word correct you here, कि
जी प्लीज।
जब मियां नवाज शरीफ की गवर्नमेंट आई थी 2013 में, तो one of the biggest things on his agenda was trade with India. In fact, वो इंडिया के साथ ट्रेड की भी बात कर रहे थे और चाइना के साथ सीपेक की बात कर रहे थे। चाइना से ऑफ कोर्स 26 बिलियन के करीब इन्वेस्टमेंट आई थी, लेकिन इंडिया के साथ बिल्कुल ट्रेड टॉक्स चल रहे थे। बल्कि आपके जो हाई कमिश्नर थे पाकिस्तान में, टीसीए राघवन, वो भी थे, शरद सबरवाल उससे पहले थे, और बहुत सारी नेगोशिएशंस हुई थी। एंड आई एम श्योर कि आइंदा फ्यूचर में जब टॉक्स होंगी तो होपफुली वी विल गेट टू दैट। But of course, there is now a question mark, and I'll stop the conversation here. And thank you so much to explain के इंडिया में क्या फीलिंग है, इंडिया में बिलावल भुट्टो जरदारी के कमेंट को लेके जो एक फीलिंग है वो आपने एक्सप्लेन की। और आपने ये भी बताया कि अभी गुफ्तगू जो है bilateral जो है वो कहीं भी नहीं जा रही। It's not, we're not going to anywhere with our talks. So at least, both of us and many more can hope that in coming years, things improve, situation improves, कि हम बैठ के दोबारा से बात कर सकें। लेकिन तब के लिए thank you so much and goodbye, and really thanks again for joining in this conversation today.
Oh, it's been an honor to be with you, Dr. Siddiqa. You're one of the foremost scholars of your country. You're a great academic. So for a retired diplomat like me, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you for having me on your show.